Hello, I'm Steve Olson, a technical specialist for Autodesk. In this video, I'd like to share how to set up Project Sync inside of Vault Professional so you can collaborate externally with other users. The first thing to understand is that there are three parts to this process. You've got Vault Professional that will map out some collaboration. You have the job processor that will pull files to be synchronized, and then the job processor will pass those files off to the Autodesk desktop connector that will synchronize these files or move these files into some sort of cloud storage that can either be Fusion Team or something like Autodesk Docs. I've been setting up Project Sync for a number of years now, and recently I've grown to realize that when you pass files off to some sort of collaborator, you might need to mark them in a way that you know not to touch them because somebody else is editing them. So, what I've done is I've grown to incorporate into my lifecycle system a state that lets me know that I've passed those files off to an outside contractor, and then I know that I shouldn't be modifying those. And I can actually add the intelligence into the project sync settings that only synchronize the files that are in that state. So let's take a look at the settings that I have on the lifecycle system that will make that happen. So if I go into my tools, administration, vault settings, go into my behaviors, and go to my life cycles. I'm going to go down to the one that I have set up here, this PLM release process. You'll see that I have an out to contractor state here. If I go into the edit, the security on that state allows everyone to read the file, but they don't have any other permissions to it. And then the job processor, which is an actual user, and then a job server, which is a group of job processor users. I just did both to cover all my bases here. They are allowed to read, modify, download, delete. One thing that I did here early on that was a mistake was I actually had deny across here for everyone after the read, and the everyone denying being denied to modify or download that file was overriding the express permissions to allow to the job processor and the job server group. So I had some conflict there. But once I moved that to just a blank, the everyone is denied. It's we kind of call it a soft deny because they don't have permission, so it's essentially a denial. Then the allow will override that. But if I had something like deny in those three blank boxes, it actually prevents this from happening. Now let's look at the collaboration settings. So if I go to collaborate here, and I'm going to go up here to configure, I already have two configurations or two drives mapped or two folders, however you want to describe it. I'm going to grab this one here and I'm going to edit this one because this is the one that we're going to utilize here in a little bit. So looking at this, you got to give it a name. You tell it which folder you want to synchronize. And I do have a folder called Project Sync just for me to test and play around with, and that's why it's called that. And just a matter of clicking this ellipsis here, and it'll let you pick out the folder that you want to map. Then when it comes to the cloud drive, I'm going to go ahead and click on this little ellipsis. It's going to show me the Autodesk Docs and the Fusion Teams projects that I have set up there. And then it will show me the projects underneath that. You can see I have a Project Sync one set up. And then I have a Vault Fusion Sync, which is what I usually have the name of the mapping match the folder out on Fusion Teams, just the way I like to do it. And then you basically add a folder that's going to map. You set out some general properties, like is it going to be bidirectional, upload or download only. You're going to sync hidden files, things like DWFs and things like that, if you want those to be synchronized. The schedule can be at a specific time each day, every 8, 12, or 16 hours. I believe 8 was the fewest that I could set it to, or no set schedule. I'll go ahead and just kind of pick a time here. It's up to you depending upon what's going to be the purpose of this synchronization, how frequently you want to see that. Now here on the filter, we have a property of the state that we're looking for. We want to synchronize only the files that contain out to contractor, which is the name of the state in the lifecycle scheme. So once we push it to that state, and the next time the scheduled sync occurs, you'll grab those files and push them up to the cloud. The next thing we're going to take a look at is the job processor. I want to show you the settings that you need to have enabled to synchronize files to the cloud. So here is my job processor. One thing to be aware of is underneath the administration, the job types. If we scroll down far enough here, you'll see that there are some sync. So Autodesk Vault Sync, manual upload. These tasks need to be enabled for the job processor to do the synchronization. One little kind of tip here I can share because it's caught many users. The desktop connector needs to start before the job processor so these tasks can be enabled. If the job processor starts first, these tasks will not be available. It's just a little bit of a tip that I've learned along the way. There is some scripting that I've seen users do that will allow the job processor to pause a little bit or kind of be delayed in starting. So that's just something to be aware of. Last thing that you'll need to install is the Autodesk Desktop connector. Probably the easiest way to find that is if you log into, say, Fusion Team or even inside your desktop app, there is this install desktop connector for Fusion. And what that does, it's actually kind of neat what it does, is inside a Windows Explorer, it creates this drive, this Fusion 360, and this Autodesk docs. I call them virtual drives. They're what's in the cloud, but if you dig into them, it kind of looks like folders. So you can see there's my one team, there's that project. If I dig into one of these folders here, you'll see that if I've synchronized, those files are available locally. I'll get the little check mark there. If for some reason they're not, it'll show as a cloud that I would do need to synchronize that file down to my system. Well, that's how you set up Project Sync to synchronize out to a cloud drive for collaboration. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on this video, and I appreciate you taking time to watch. In a future video, I will demonstrate what that collaboration looks like, how the files get sent from Vault, and then how an external collaborator would work with the desktop connector to consume those files, edit them, and then how Vault will pull those back in. So keep an eye out for that video.